Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boys of Summer. Today we're reviewing Ant-Man, one of my most anticipated movies of the summer. And my name is Jeremy.
I'm Joe.
And we'll get into our overview thoughts, and I'll go first because I love this movie. We just got out of it an hour ago. I thought it was a great movie, better than Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Age of Ultron was a big summer blockbuster movie for sure, had the bigger moments, but this movie was smaller in scale. And overall,
no pun intended.
No pun intended for sure. But overall, it was a great movie. The comedy worked. I thought the plot was great. It introduced a lot of things from the whole Marvel universe and connected smoothly. Something Age of Ultron had a little bit of trouble with, but the acting was great. I thought the casting was great. The Peyton Reed did a great job from the whole fiasco of Edgar leaving and all that. So. Yeah. I don't know how the script changed from him to the new writers coming in, but I know Paul Rudd and Adam McKay wrote the new version of it. Don't know how much they changed, but whatever it was, I thought it flowed just like a Marvel movie. My overthoughts, it was just great.
So when Edgar Wright was attached to it, was that when Simon Pegg was reportedly going to be...
I think so. I mean, Edgar Wright's been attached to this Ant-Man movie for 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a while. Before the Marvel universe, I think, even began, he had an Ant-Man script.
Because when you heard about Ant-Man, like, for the longest time, they were saying Simon Pegg.
Yeah, and then it just developed, and who knows what truly happened, but we feel... that probably one of the reasons is true that Marvel, the original story, was not totally in line with what the cinematic universe has folded into.
Yeah.
So that's probably why, but of course, with everything, we don't know the whole story.
Right. No, yeah, it was a really fun movie. I felt like, I said it to you before recording, I felt like it was fun in the same way that Magic Mike XXL was fun, in that it didn't, like, take itself too serious.
No, not at all. I agree with you. Magic Mike, even though it's about Mel stripping, it was entertaining for sure. I mean, if they kept it, it was a fun movie.
It was aware of the ridiculousness of the premise,
most definitely,
and that's why it worked, and that's why this movie worked.
They knew it was silly, and they couldn't take like Ant-Man seriously, so they knew it was silly.
Yeah, it's not like Daredevil. One thing well, we can talk about that later. We can go into that more, but yeah, I mean. Yeah, I felt like the comedy was on point. It wasn't overdone. I felt like that was a problem with Age of Ultron. Like, when they did the comedy, they, like, went a step too far. Like, there's, like, there's always, like, dragging a joke through the mud. And I felt like Age of Ultron did that sometimes, especially with Ultron parts, which I felt was, like, the worst time to do it.
I think Joss Whedon... I think he took his toll on him. I think he kind of went a little bit too far. I mean, maybe he just shouldn't have directed the second one. But overall, he did a great job for... It still was a better movie than Iron Man 2 and most other movies that have tried to do what they did.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because our theater was, like, not nearly as full as I thought. Like, not at all. Like,
no, that's thunder if you hear it.
Yeah, Thor's over here.
Thor.
But, yeah, I mean, like... none of the front was full, and that was weird. Like, generally, if a movie's like not that like anticipated, but it's still like a relatively big movie in the scheme of things, there'll be at least a sprinkling of people. But I mean, there were rows in the back that were barely full. It was just odd. It was odd because I mean, this was kind of in the same boat as Guardians of the Galaxy, but when we saw Guardians of the Galaxy, it was packed, and when we saw this, I was thinking it'd be the same thing. Like, not really, like, registering. Yeah, not registering on the same kind of radar, but still, like, a big movie in its own right. I mean, especially compared to what's been coming out.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the movie deserves a big crowd. Yeah. It's that good of a movie. It deserves a big crowd movie.
It was definitely some of the best energy we've had. I mean...
It was a small crowd, but great energy.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was into it. One thing that was kind of funny... I mean, we're kind of going into specifics now, but towards the end of the movie, when he goes, there's a big plot point where Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, says, don't ever go subatomic, like to the, like, atom level, because you will lose track of yourself and the suit can't handle it, et cetera, you'll be lost forever. That's how the Wasp, Janet Pym, that's how she gets, killed, even though I have a feeling she's going to come back.
Oh, yeah.
And Scott Lang, Paul Rudd's character, and Ant-Man in this, he has to go subatomic to stop Yellow Jacket, the antagonist, and the theater was like dead silent. Like everyone was, and like the movie was silent. Like there was no music. There was almost no sound. And the theater, I just remember thinking to myself, like, everyone is so captivated, like, holding their breath.
I was captivated, too. It was really cool, the images they put up there.
You know what it reminded me of? Interstellar. The kind of weirdness of
Interstellar was so good until the very end of that movie.
But that's what I'm saying. It's it did what Interstellar was trying to do, like, by, like, mesmerizing us by those visuals.
Yeah.
And I felt like it did it better. I don't know. I guess
Interstellar took true science and went like hardcore on us.
Yeah.
I don't think it should have done that for them. It didn't just transition to film.
Yeah.
It should have done something different. But that's Interstellar. Ant-Man, it just played beautifully, I thought.
Yeah. How do you feel about the acting in this movie?
The acting in this movie, I thought the acting was really good. I mean, Michael Pena there you go, is hilarious. In this movie, I mean, his character is
T.I., who I did not know was in this.
I knew he was in it, but I was worried about him. He had good. The whole side characters were really well done.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd, great. Michael Douglas, of course, great.
Who was the Russian guy? Oh no! I know who he was. In The Dark Knight, he was one of the crazy guys. That Harvey.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I recognize him? I was trying to figure out, and it just now occurred to me. But he was randomly, I mean, for what he was, for being a little side character. I thought Yellow Jacket was a better antagonist. I felt like than Ultron.
I did too, because he actually had motive and he stuck true to it.
And he had an arc. Like we saw him like kind of go from just smug, cocky to like really like losing
it. Like Hank Pym, the desperation.
Yeah.
And he kind of did. So it was a good character, better than Ultron was. And that's disappointing. Ultron could have been an awesome villain. I just think they faltered on that.
I mean, Evangeline Lilly had good moments. I felt like she still just doesn't really differ from how she was as Kate from Lost. I don't think like her range as like who she is as when she plays characters doesn't really change as much as
it doesn't probably, but it works for this.
It worked. I mean, it was really well done. Probably not so much in other movies, but it worked for this.
Yeah.
She sold being Hope Pym.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, surprise. I mean, we were talking about it. There's a surprise moment if. Spoilers, like, don't listen to this part right now if you don't want to know stuff that happens in the movie. But in the second act, Scott Lang has to infiltrate a facility that was originally owned by Howard Stark, Tony Stark's father, and to get this piece of technology. What they don't realize is that this facility is now the new Avengers.
It was a great connection to the Ultron.
Yeah, because I completely forgot that Tony says, like, this place was my dad's and stuff like that in that movie, which was really crazy. But yeah, Scott Lang winds up interacting with the Falcon, Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie. And we were talking about, like, every time he pops up in these Marvel movies, it's like Don Cheadle. Like, he just really, like, sells it. And
Don Cheadle did great in Ultron for the little time he had. And the Falcon did the same thing. He stole, he really took the scene over. And their fight scene.
Yeah, they had a fight scene.
You didn't think they were going to fight, but they fought, and it was awesome. Yeah. It just proved how cool Ant-Man can be.
Yeah.
And it established him with the other Avengers. Really well done.
Yeah, that's what I thought was really good, because I felt like a lot of people were like, okay, like, how are you really going to do Ant-Man with how you set up the Avengers? How is he going to even, like, interact? How is he going to be on the same scale as them? And I felt like kind of easing us into it by this interaction with Falcon, I felt was a really smart move, a really good writing move on the part of, I guess Paul Rudd and Adam McKay.
Yeah, that could have been Edgar Wright too.
Yeah,
Kevin Feige always has influence, and he's the mastermind behind the whole thing.
To really like kind of like show us this is how he can work in this universe. This is how he can play off some of the more stable elements, the more known quantities.
Yeah,
I thought it was really well done. The climactic fight with Yellow Jacket, I thought was well done it's probably the thing that we've seen the most in the trailers. So
Yeah, it wasn't exciting because
So-
it was the fight that we see the most in the trailers.
So that was a little bit of a down moment. I thought the more interesting thing, like the thing that I actually cared more about, I felt like they fought because they had to fight because at the end of the day it's a superhero movie.
Sure. I mean, where else would you go with
yeah,
it? It's not like Hank Pym's going to fight him.
Right. The more interesting thing was the heist element and like them trying to set up for the heist and then the execution of the heist.
It's like Marvel likes to do these sub movies plot. Winter
Yeah.
Soldier, spy thriller,
Yeah.
Guardians, space opera,
Yeah.
Avengers, blockbuster, and now you got this little heist movie.
Yeah.
So it's going to be curious to see what Spider-Man will be. Civil War is obviously going to be it's probably going to be a blockbuster spy thriller to kind of keep it in the same realm.
I mean, as long as Spider-Man isn't the love story that Amazing Spider-Man 2 tried to be half the time.
It's in Marvel's hands
Yeah.
now. Well, it is.
And
Sony owns it, but Marvel.
Yeah. And they
has
even did a shout out to Spider-Man, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, really fun. I want to see it again, honestly, because there's so like the action was like kind of still like crazy just because of the effects that were involved. It'd just be really nice just to watch it again, just to be able to sit back and enjoy it.
There's probably more Easter eggs that we missed.
Yeah.
But let's move into our next topic. So we talked about
I kind of want to compare it because I think the other thing that's really fresh in the mind, Marvel-wise, is Daredevil, and they are opposite ends of the spectrum of tone.
All right, well, let's do that then. Let's compare it to Daredevil.
Yeah.
And then I want to go through and talk about the little things they did right, like Michael Pena's when he's doing the talk and they're talking right. And
Well, how about we do that first then?
Okay.
I think let's stick to
No problem.
thematic stuff.
All right, let's do that.
Okay.
All right, ready? All right, so what I want to get to now as the next topic is the little things they did right. Like when Michael Pena
The
is...
little things.
Damn,
sorry,
puns
I-
everywhere.
you can't get away from
I can't.
Yeah.
But like when he did twice when he's telling like the whole story of how he finds the jobs and stuff, and everybody's telling the
Michael Pena, real quick. He's a supporting character. He's Scott Lang's friend and former cellmate in prison.
yeah. And the prison was pretty cool too because they had all that. But
Yeah.
when he's telling these little stories, he's like telling them they're actually showing them, but everybody's talking in his voice, like
Yeah.
he's dubbing over them.
And they're all like exaggerating the exact same way, like articulating.
It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
great, and especially the second one with Falcon. That's where they make the reference to Spider-Man. It's very well done. And another little thing I also liked, which I don't know if a lot of people notice this, but if you watch Agent Carter, in the very beginning of the movie, of course you have the actress that plays Agent Carter, Haley. I forget her name right now.
Haley Atwell.
There you go. Thank you. And then you have Hank Pym. Not Hank Pym. Hank Pym's in the scene, but then you have
Howard Stark.
And the way that he says something that is Howard Stark like, and she looks at him, it's the same look they give for the connection they had in the Agent Carter TV show. So it was kind of nice to see that kind of connection through the cinematic universe, because if you watch the first season, which was okay, you saw that and you're like, oh, that's another classic moment. And the way the whole universe connects, it was just a good moment to see how beautifully it's connected.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Pena's acting was like really on point. Just the way he would, everyone like it just immediately kind of eased people, and I think made people feel comfortable with the movie and like where it was tonally was when he's in the car with Scott after Scott gets released, and Scott's just like, how are you doing with your girlfriend? And he's just like, oh, she left me, and just he keeps smiling the whole time, like he just delivers it like,
and
the
he's like,
happiest
my
way.
dad died too.
Yeah.
And then he just like something else went wrong, but he's like, but I got the van.
Yeah.
His character smiles the whole way.
Yeah.
And in the prison, there's a guy, Prince. Peachy, that when he says goodbye, he like has to fight you.
Yeah.
He punches you, and then in the movie, he's like, I'm the only person that knocked him out. And then every time in the
whole
last
movie,
scene,
every time he punches someone,
like,
they're out.
They're not getting knocked out. So it was like great writing, and it just still kept his character the same way. It was awesome.
Yeah, there was definitely like little things. I felt like the interactions between Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly were going to be I guess probably being biased between like the stuff between Hulk and Black Widow and Avengers, I was like really afraid that it was going to be the tired element of it, but it is actually really well done. Even like their training montage together where they're fighting, but she's always getting like the upper hand. I thought that was going to get old, but that was actually really well done.
I think it's also because of Paul Rudd. I think he makes it lighthearted. It was a great casting choice to make him Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I also like how they didn't go with Hank Pym.
That was
I was worried a little bit
being
Scott, but I kind of like how they have Hank already in here, and then have Scott Lang being the main Ant-Man now, with Hank Pym being the Ant-Man back in the day, and I think it works beautifully for this universe they've created. I really like the choice of having Scott instead of Hank being the main person.
Yeah, I mean, I think, because that's sort of the thing with the DC movies that we're about to see, is that they're taking a lot of liberties with who they present as like the characters. Like, there's this whole thing, who's going to be the Green Lantern?
And
Tom
there could
Stewart,
be multiple Green Lanterns.
Kyle Rayner, are we just going to go back with Hal? They're still saying that Barry Allen's going to be the Flash, even though I feel like that's really weird. Since there's a TV show with a very established Barry that I think works, not to go with the other obvious Flash and Wally West, but they're playing around with all these like ideas. You told me there's the rumor that Jared Leto's Joker is actually Jason Todd, the second Batman.
That would be a neat twist.
Or second Robin. That something weird happened maybe with his interactions with Joker, which in the comics kills him, but maybe this time went crazy, which is also slightly. Also would be slightly derived from Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, where Tim Drake is Joker in that one. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I totally remember. So, I mean, maybe that's where they're taking the elements from, which would be, I think, smart. It worked, and it would be really nice. I think it works. And I think that's what this movie did well, Ant-Man, having chosen to use Scott instead of Hank, when Hank's such a pivotal part of the Avengers. Now he was part of it. Now you can see Scott be part of it, and what he did with the Falcon. I think in Civil War, he's going to do great. And they set up him getting big, too, because that's how he got out of the zone.
The Quantum Realm. Yeah.
Quantum Realm is growing big. And Quantum Realm will be a big part of Phase 3.
Yeah.
Feige's already said it, and I think Doctor Strange will dwell a lot into that.
I mean, I think it's done well, because I think what Marvel is starting to realize is, like, okay, like, the people who are going to appreciate that, so-and-so is this and so-and-so is that, like, they're already on the hook anyway, so why not try to keep things fresh? It's like when books are adapted in television shows, Game of Thrones being a very good example, and they change things from the books to where the people who are watching the show that read the books aren't just like, I know every single thing that's about to happen. It kind of keeps it fresh, and sometimes it just has to work with... It works better with the narrative to change things, and I think instead of having to explain this is Hank doing another origin story, because that's what like people are complaining about, like comic book movies just always turn into this was how this character became this character, and I think starting it out where this shit's already established and we're going to kind of explain it to you as it's happened, and as it's happening, as opposed to from the very beginning. I think sometimes it's better to go that way.
And this was an origin story, but an origin story that wasn't an origin story.
It didn't have to like show us how the power started. We didn't have to have like the generic scene where like Hank Pym, is trying to like perfect his Pym particle, and he's like having a bunch of failures, and then he has this, all the cliched things that happen.
It's already developed. He's already been Ant-Man in the past.
Yeah.
And then now we get to see the origin of Scott Lang becoming Ant-Man, which Ant-Man's already been established and everything, which I thought was really well done, and I liked a lot. There was just so many little moments with the tank getting large. Like you said, Yellow Jacket was really good. I thought Corey... Can't think of his last name. Stell, something like that. Yeah. He was in House of Cards. He's in The Strain. He's a really good actor. I think he's up and coming. I think he was a perfect choice to be Yellow Jack in this film.
He slightly reminds me of your brother. I don't
Maybe
know.
a little bit. We should post a picture of my brother on this and him and compare them right now.
Yeah, we'll just put it over our faces.
That would be great. You can be the judge. I'll pick which one we are. Don't worry about it. But I thought that he was probably one of the best Marvel villains that we've had, to be honest with you. And which is a shame because Ultron should be the best.
So, we kind of dove into sort of the lighter, like even for a Marvel movie, the lighter tone of this movie, the kind of like tongue-in-cheekness that this movie dove into. Interestingly enough, it's juxtaposed to another freshman sort of story in Daredevil, the Netflix series that came out, which was like ultra dark, like
very dark for Marvel. I mean, it was almost like DC dark going.
Yeah, definitely not as like dark as Dark Knight Rises, but like along the lines of like there's some really weird stuff that's kind of being delved
which I kind of like now that Marvel's getting so big that now they have the Daredevil, the Netflix series. And it's more street bound, smaller, but it's more darker and grittier.
Yeah.
When most Marvel movies can be a little dark, but always will have comedy in them and the lightheartedness and the fun aspect of movies.
Yeah.
That's a Marvel movie at its true core, and every one of Marvel's movies has that. And Daredevil is just kind of the exact opposite, but it works.
Yeah.
It's really nice. So I'm hoping they mix. It would be really neat to see like Daredevil and Ant-Man together because it's like two completely different styles.
Why do you think it works? Like, why do you think that they're able to pull off like something within the same universe and like with a lot of crossover? How do you think they're able to pull off something on the spectrum of Daredevil, Darkness, and Ant-Man?
Are you saying how they pull the difference off, or how they gonna pull it off, bring it together?
No, like why do you think it's successful both ways? Because generally, like it feels like when like a studio or something tries to go different directions,
I think it's like the character.
Fails. Yeah,
it's all about the character. Like I think if you made Ant-Man dark, it wouldn't work. But Daredevil is dark, and I don't think you can make Daredevil light. I think you can bring Daredevil into a lighthearted movie, like Avengers or something. I think he can come in, or Civil War. Yeah. He can come in. It'll be easier to do that. But like you're talking about Daredevil series, Daredevil's the highlight. You can't make it. The character is just naturally dark. Yeah. Just like they're bringing the Punisher into the second season. Yeah. He is even darker than Daredevil. And you cannot make that character kind of like Ant-Man. Yeah. You cannot make it lighthearted. So I think it works. I think you just have to make the right movie for the right character. And I think that's why it works for Marvel. Ant-Man is a silly character at the core. I mean, it's really silly. It's childish, kind of. An ant, it plays ants. But you take upon what that character is, you stay true to it, then you're going to make good. Daredevil is more dark and gritty. You got to stay true to it. And that's what they did, and that's why they both work.
I just think it's interesting because, like, the direct competitor being DC attempted after Dark Knight to go a different direction with Green Lantern. And it just didn't work at all. And it's just interesting because you feel like it's the same concept. I guess it's just because they just have people at Marvel who know what they're doing. And
I think Green Lantern sucked. That's one reason why. I mean, not because of tone, but the script was awful. And
but I think tone was a factor. Like a lot of people were like Ryan Reynolds was not the right choice.
I don't think I don't agree with that. I think the other reasons were why.
Yeah.
I truly do. But he's going to be in Deadpool, so he still gets another comic. Which I think DC going darker is smart, which I can't wait for next summer. We'll actually get the DC Marvel matchup now, and we'll actually get to see how the lightheartedness versus the more serious, darker movies. We'll actually get to see it now, and that'll be exciting for all comic book fans.
But at the same time, I mean, the first big competition is Batman. I mean, not anymore, but they're still close together. Is Batman Superman, which seems over the top dark, and Civil War, which I think is going to be a darker entry.
It's going to be a darker entry, but I think it's also still going to have the fun factor in it.
I mean, more than likely.
Every Marvel... I mean, the prime example is Winter Soldier. Probably their darkest movie yet, but still had fun moments, still had comedy elements. Falcon, there you go. Enter him in. It worked beautifully, and I think that's exactly what Civil War is going to be.
Yeah.
And just like bringing Ant-Man's going to bring his kind of style to Civil War and have that kind of comedy, and just like Falcon did, it's going to bring that right into Civil War.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that there wasn't a reference to Daredevil in this. I felt like this was the movie for there to be.
I kind of wish they would. I have a feeling that they're holding out for it. I don't know what yet, but I'm
like, you know what would have been good? Sorry, not to
no problem.
If they had that black cop from Daredevil be one of the cops.
It's funny because I think he's going to be in Jessica Jones, so that's how they're going. But it would have been neat to have him in
like
there.
Him show up in the police precinct.
Yeah, that would have been good. It's something like that. They need to do something, but the Netflix series are all connected to the movies.
Yeah,
and I just highly doubt they're bringing these characters to never bring them in the movies. Like,
all right.
They have some kind of plan, and we just don't know what it is. And it's kind of frustrating sometimes. You're like, oh, this would have been perfect, but we don't know what they're thinking.
And maybe they're just trying to prep it for Phase 3. I mean, it's not like you saw Hulk in, like, anything else but, you know, the Hulk movie until Avengers 2. So maybe that's just, like, you can't force it. Like, and maybe that's another thing that's making... Which I feel like DC, like that's what kind of scares me about DC is because I feel like they're forcing things where things don't need to be forced, and I feel like Marvel is really good
I think you can say that a little bit, but I think from what I've seen from Batman and Superman, it looks awesome. I think it's doing good in Suicide Squad. I like the trailer.
I know your feelings about Ben Affleck as Batman, about Jared Leto as Joker. I know, you know, it's like I know. I mean,
you know how if you want to know how I feel, just ask me.
And I mean, we can't. I mean, yeah, we can't say anything about what DC's doing. I feel like
not yet, not till the movie comes out. That's when you can give your official opinion on it.
I just feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm just hell bent on hating on it until it proves me wrong.
Yeah,
I think I just can't allow myself to be excited because I was so excited about Man of Steel, and it did not live up to what I built it up in my head.
Man of Steel was doomed from the beginning. You just can't. It coming right off the Nolan trilogy. You just couldn't. It had no way of living up to hype.
I mean, even the Nolan trilogy couldn't live up to the Nolan trilogy because Dark Knight Rises doesn't even, I think, hold a candle to Dark Knight.
Yeah,
so.
it's a tough. Yeah. But I love Man of Steel. So.
But let's go into scores, and I'll go first because I generally, for some reason, don't. I'll say easily like full price. You know, you told me something where they said don't worry about watching it in 3D or whatever. Like, it's not really, the benefit isn't there.
If you do watch it in 3D, they said watch it in IMAX 3D.
Right.
Get your money's worth at least.
Yeah. But I mean, I really enjoyed it. I do kind of wish that the theater was a little bit packed. I wish honestly that trailers were better for this. I felt like they were.
I mean, we get the Mission Impossible trailer, which. I don't know why I'm not tired of that movie. Maybe because I'm just so looking forward to it. Right. But I've seen that trailer so many damn times.
Yeah, but no, full price. I mean, it was fun. It was like we watched it at a good time. It was just it did not feel like for one instant. Like as soon as it started, I was like, I'm in for the full ride.
Oh, totally agree. Full price. Go see it. Nighttime. Doesn't matter. See it multiple times because I want to see it multiple times.
Yeah, I figured.
So I'm all in for this movie. I would have to say it's probably. I'm trying. I mean, this is just now coming off the movie, but right now I'm going to rough feelings and stuff. My best summer movie so far. So, it's Jeremy.
I'm Joe.
Thank you for watching.
See you later.